What I have learnt from more than 20 years of meditation and not working has transformed how I view the world. It has completely changed how I see myself, my own body, and the body of others. Above all, it has created a life of peace, tranquility and beauty, qualities more precious than money and gold or diamonds, in this era of stress, anxiety and fear, and the feelings of scarcity and insecurity. What can be discovered within us is beyond worldly comprehension, impossible to learn by traditional means, because it defies all that we are taught to believe is true. The journey is less about learning and more about unlearning everything the world has conditioned us to believe. In surrendering to emptiness within ourselves, we allow reality to reveal itself. The body is a vessel for travelling through time, and the mind, like an explorer navigating a dark forest, ventures within. Each person has their own unique path through this forest, as individual as their own soul. During my time living in Africa, I experienced a profound sense of freedom for the first time in my life. I left my career in my mid-30s and discovered a way of living rooted in peace. And peace comes from freedom, for where there's peace there is freedom. I began noticing that life seemed guided with moments of serendipity and experiences beyond ordinary understanding. Meditating regularly, I found my life unfolding in ways that I didn't expect and that didn't align with social norms, but they felt deeply fulfilling. Days, weeks and years began to merge into a seamless flow, as if time itself was a harmonious experience. Life became glorious and full of gratitude. Throughout this journey, I studied with various teachers from different traditions from around the world, each imparting their own flavour and colour within my mind. Their guidance enriched my understanding of who I am and who we are as a whole. But what taught me the most, and still does, is the inner teacher, the inner voice, the one that speaks to us from within, the one we all share within us. It is the same voice. I had discovered this teacher in my early morning meditations. Everyone has their own path, and there are as many paths as there are people. Yet to find a teacher who can guide our way in times when we are looking for meaning and understanding in this world can shorten our journey immensely. Yet there are also many teachers who can prolong our journeys too, as many teachers are themselves still but students, and as such still open to be misguided themselves. The world is full of such teachers. The world is full of unhealed healers and unhealed teachers. There are few teachers in this world who can teach all one needs to know. Yet there are many teachers, and so we must be open to explore different forms and different paths, gathering the gems of truth along the way, each one imparting their own colour and flavour. In my own journey, I started waking around 3 o'clock in the morning, and to me this became the most cherished time, and I used these quiet hours for meditation and self-reflection, asking questions and giving away to the voice within anything that caused confusion, pain or suffering. Initially, I incorporated shamanic practices into my journey of discovery, but as my understanding of life deepened, I found the greatest clarity was within myself, and it required nothing but the willingness to unlearn. We all share a teacher within us who can guide us and lead us through this world in peace and in beauty. Creating the conditions within us for this to happen is the goal of all spiritual practices, whatever their tradition may be. In meditation, belief and experience become intertwined, shaping what we see within into what we witness in the world outside. And so the world does begin to open up like a flower, as each false belief was brought to the light of truth. During a time when I was deeply immersed in my shamanic work, I received a repeating message indicating that my beliefs would be stripped away. Initially, I welcomed this change, trusting the inner guidance that had led me to so many miraculous revelations. However, as my beliefs dissolved over time, I felt adrift, experiencing intense fear and confusion. Over time, these feelings culminated in intense physical pain and depression. The spiritual beliefs I had held onto became meaningless to me, while worldly beliefs clearly lacked reason and sanity. This was a very difficult time that led me into a hell realm. It took some time before I began to understand why this was happening and began to see a different world with a different meaning. The shamanic work I was involved in involved the use of various plant medicines like ayahuasca and San Pedro and peyote. These are powerful tools to bring about transformation within us, and it was during these years that I came to understand how the world is not what we think it is. There is a miraculous underlying force holding all things together as one. Yet we are still bound by the beliefs that we hold that are not easily released. It was during this difficult time of darkness and confusion that led me to go further into myself, where I finally discovered the teacher within. The teacher is none other than the call of our Creator, calling us to remember who we are. It appears in a form that one can relate to, but for me it always appeared as Jesus and the light of Christ. Christ is not a body, and Jesus too is not a body, and so they appear for each person in a form that is most relevant for that person. As a child, I always had thoughts of Jesus in my mind, though I was not in any way religious. I actually felt religions to be mostly hypocritical, and so I spent time in India wanting to understand their ways. Yet it was during an unexpected encounter with a shamanic group using powerful plant medicines that my first encounter with Christ happened. One must never be closed off to others from different traditions and different faiths, because we can learn things from them that can shed some light onto concepts that we may not have made sense of within another teaching. There are many tribes and there are many traditions, and there are many different teachers and many different approaches to faith and religion. In the hands of the ego, we are taught to fear and hate them. We are taught to oppose them and to see them as not the same as us. Yet in the hands of a true teacher, the teacher of reality, the voice of our mother, our father, our creator, we are taught through them things that we could not have otherwise understood, and so we can learn to appreciate and love them and make them part of our journey. We are made as bodies into different tribes and traditions and groups, and used by the ego mind we learn to hate and fear each other. Yet when viewed through the eyes of our inner one, we can learn from each other and learn to love each other and appreciate each other. Being dogmatic and self-righteous is a self-made barrier that bars the knowing of the inner one, and so we lose the knowledge of our Creator and we learn to hate. Our minds are always seeking a unified understanding because in their natural state they possess it. The mind is part of a unified mind, a divine consciousness. Some may call it the Creator or God. What is within us, as us, and is the life that is our own, is the meaning of Christ, and Christ is created in the likeness of his Creator, God. Therefore it is God who is within us, It is this presence that makes us all the same. It is this presence that has a voice that can speak to us if we remove the barriers to our learning. During times of extreme confusion, when nothing makes sense, the mind will experience terror. It is during such times as these that we become willing to surrender our self-righteous beliefs, ones we made ourselves and ones we defend with our lives. Suffering is a powerful motivator for change, and when our minds are in a hellish state and go into fear and confusion, change is the one thing in this world that carries the blessings of God upon it. Our minds, as part of the unified divine consciousness, seek a unified knowledge, even as the physical world seems to separate us. Yet we perceive the world based on our beliefs. When our beliefs are not unified beliefs, we are projecting our ununified judgments onto others and our environment, and so from this state of seeing division, we see a world as we have asked it to be. Despite this, there is an inherent oneness connecting us all together. Just as the universe reflects a oneness, so too do our minds seek the truth of our shared connection. Meditation can lead to knowledge of who we are, and so it helps dismantle the belief that we are isolated beings, separate from others. It brings the awareness that we are not our bodies. It is from this state of seeing we begin to surrender our self-imposed judgments about each other and about the world. The world simply responds as it was asked to do, and the world we begin to see starts to change to reflect our unity. A very simple exercise that can illustrate that we are not our bodies is this. Close your eyes and visualize one of your hands and imagine it being removed. Despite its absence, you can recognize that you still remain whole. We can do this with every part of the body until finally the mind fathoms the profound realization that the body is not who we are. This is a very simple way to enter into a meditation by bringing the awareness that we are beyond the body. Therefore, the world is not what we think it is. This simple practice reveals that we are not limited to our physical form. The body, with its limited senses, perceives only a fraction of reality. Our eyes capture just 0.0035% of the electromagnetic light spectrum, indicating that they are not designed for true sight, that they were designed for selective perception only. We give meaning to the world based on our limited perception, born of our own forgetfulness of our true identity. The world we see is not the full reality, but a reflection of our own interpretations. As we project our beliefs outward, each of us creates a personal version of truth, obscuring cosmic knowledge and limiting the mind to those beliefs. Because nothing in reality is ever forced upon us, our own personal truth becomes the barrier to the universal truth that unites us all as one. Our ego-driven minds chase dreams, desiring them to be real, for the ego is itself a dream. Only when we are aware of the ego mind's tendency to create and defend illusions and dreams can we understand the nature of the dream we live in. Our true self, which is not bound to the body and is not a dream made in darkness, is the only genuine reality in a world composed of the body's inability to see. The light that we are is all that is real within a dream made of darkness. Physical existence is experienced within the mind, where all seeing is done and where our understanding shapes perception. Each person has their own unique path through this dream world. as individual as their soul. Busy lives and busy minds and self-righteous beliefs are all but the self-imposed barriers that but say to our Creator, "You are not welcome here." And so God but recedes into the quietness and patiently waits. The ego, our mind in separation, will seize any opportunity to reinforce itself, inflating its beliefs and securing its own survival, keeping itself busy and full of self-importance. This can occur within spirituality just as in any other worldly pursuits. It is one of the major obstacles one must pass on the spiritual journey to self-discovery. Everyone who has awoken to the knowledge of themselves had to be humbled through suffering and pain. The ego's illusions resist being exposed to truth, defending its false reality, but the journey of self-discovery requires realigning our minds with truth, dissolving the illusions created in darkness. Self-importance is a major obstacle one must pass. It has been during my most challenging times that I found the deepest growth. Fear and adversity compelled me to release old beliefs, pushing me towards surrender and new perspectives. These dark nights of the soul bring us face to face with our inner fears and illusions. We simply face the devil within. In our busy lives, we often lack the quiet mind necessary for deep reflection. Times of depression and confusion challenge our worldly beliefs and our worldly values, and open us to question what we thought was true and thought was valuable. Through meditation and self-reflection, we can transcend the boundaries of our perception, realigning our minds with the light of understanding and the light of true consciousness. The barriers of the ego and the worldly illusions simply fall away, revealing a greater unity and truth within us, revealing a greater unity and truth that we are all one